While everyone else is winding down for winter, smart gardeners are stepping outside and planting the vegetables that thrive in December. This is the window that most people miss, and by the time spring rolls around, they always wish they'd started now. Today I'm going to show you 10 vegetables that actually prefer cold weather, grow better in winter, and can reward you with harvests long before the rest of the garden wakes up. Welcome back to Purely Garden. December isn't downtime for your garden, it's prime time. If you're gardening in zones 7 through 10, you can plant every single crop on this list right now, and I'll point out the ones that can handle even colder zones too. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to plant, how to plant it, and when you'll be picking your first harvests. If you're ready to turn winter into your most productive season yet, tap that like button, subscribe to Purely Garden, and let's get straight into the first vegetable. Veggie number 1. Fava beans. Fava beans are one of the most underrated winter crops, and December is the perfect moment to get them in the ground. They love cold weather more than almost any other bean, and they actually use winter to their advantage. Chilly soil helps them germinate better, and once they've settled in, their roots grow steadily all winter long. By the time spring hits, they explode with growth while everything else is still waking up. They hate heat, so planting them in spring often gives you weak plants and tiny harvests. But plant them now, and they reward you with strong stems, loads of pods, and a rich flavor you'll never get from store-bought beans. Planting them is simple. Direct sow the seeds about 2 inches deep and 6 inches apart, and make sure they're in a spot with full sun or at least some light during the shorter winter days. They're naturally tough and can handle zones 7 through 10 with ease, and even zone 6 if you throw a bit of mulch around the base for insulation. Once the plants reach about a foot tall, give them a light stake for support, because they'll start to put on weight quickly. They also enrich the soil by fixing nitrogen, so every patch you grow them in gets healthier for the crops that come later. Keep an eye out for aphids in early spring, pick the pods when they're young and tender, and you'll be harvesting fresh fava beans from late March through April. One small December planting sets you up for a big spring payoff. Veggie number 2, arugula. Arugula is one of the easiest and quickest winter crops you can plant, and December is hands down the best time for it. Cold weather slows its growth just enough to keep the leaves tender, while frost gives it a sweeter, richer flavor that you never get in warmer months. In heat, arugula bolts almost instantly and turns bitter, but in winter it stays low, leafy and mild with that perfect peppery kick. December planting means you get steady growth, fast turnaround, and a salad crop you can rely on even when everything else is dormant. To get it started, scatter the seeds lightly and cover them with about a 1/4 inch of soil. They germinate quickly in cool temperatures and don't need much space. Thin the seedlings to 3 or 4 inches apart and keep the soil evenly moist for the best flavor and texture. Arugula grows well in full sun, but the lower winter sun angles make partial shade totally fine too. It works in zones 6 through 11, and if you plant a fresh row every 2 weeks, you'll keep the harvest going non-stop. Begin by picking the outer leaves and let the plant continue producing from the center. In just 3 to 4 weeks, you'll be eating fresh arugula long before most gardeners even think about planting. Veggie number 3, snow peas. Snow peas are one of the most reliable vegetables you can plant in December because they thrive in cold soil and barely flinch at frost. They actually germinate better in cooler temperatures, and the pods stay crisp and sweet when the air is chilly. Heat makes them tough, stringy and disappointing, which is why winter planting gives you such a huge advantage. Put them in the ground now, and they'll quietly establish themselves through the cold months, then surge with growth the moment spring sunlight returns. By February or March, you'll have vines loaded with tender pods long before warm season crops even sprout. Plant the seeds about 1 inch deep and 2 inches apart along a trellis or fence because they climb quickly and need support right away. Snow peas love full sun, and while they're ideal for zones 7 through 10, gardeners in zone 6 can grow them easily with a simple row cover on the coldest nights. For an extra boost, dust the seeds with a rhizobium inoculant to help them fix nitrogen and produce more pods. Keep the soil lightly moist, pick often to encourage constant production, and don't forget the bonus that their flowers are edible too. Expect your first harvest in about 60 to 70 days, turning a small December planting into a generous late winter crop. Veggie number 4. Spinach. Spinach is a true winter champion, and December is one of the best times to sow it because the cold actually improves both germination and flavor. It loves cool soil, hates heat, and rewards winter gardeners with thick, sweet leaves that get even better after a light frost. While most vegetables shut down in winter, spinach quietly builds a strong root system and stays low and compact, ready to take off once daylight increases. When you plant it now, you avoid the biggest problem spinach has in warmer months, which is bolting. Instead of shooting up a seed stalk, it stays leafy, tender, and productive for far longer than a spring planting ever could. Plant spinach about ½ inch deep and thin, the seedlings to 4 to 6 inches apart once they pop up. It grows well in full sun, but winter light is softer, so it also handles partial shade without any trouble. Spinach is surprisingly hardy, thriving from zones 5 through 10, especially with a bit of mulch for insulation during very cold nights. Choose slow bolt varieties for the longest harvest window and keep the soil moist but not soggy. With a cut-and-come-again approach, you can pull baby leaves in as little as 25 to 30 days, then let the rest mature to full size by around 40 to 50 days. One December planting can keep you harvesting spinach from January straight into early spring. Veggie number 5, kohlrabi. Kohlrabi is one of those vegetables that looks a little strange at first glance, but once you understand how tough and productive it is, it becomes an instant favorite. It grows fast, handles cold weather without stress, and doesn't demand much space, which makes it perfect for tight beds or patio containers. Its swollen stem is the edible part, and you can harvest it young for a mild, juicy crunch that sits somewhere between cabbage and a sweet radish. What makes kohlrabi especially handy for gardeners is how unfussy it is. It doesn't complain about imperfect soil, and as long as it gets steady moisture and a few hours of sunlight a day, it keeps swelling up into clean, tender bulbs that are ready long before most other cool season crops. Another big advantage is how much of the plant you can actually use. The bulbs are great raw or cooked, but the leaves are also edible and behave just like a softer kale. This means one plant gives you 2 different harvests in one space. For gardeners trying to stretch food production through the colder months, that's a huge win. Once you plant kohlrabi, you'll notice it barely hesitates even when temperatures drop. It keeps growing steadily, and you're left with a beautiful, sturdy crop that stands strong in conditions that slow down most others. It's an easy, reliable vegetable that rewards you with crisp texture, good flavor, and a surprisingly generous harvest. Veggie number 6, Swiss chard. Swiss chard is one of the most dependable cool season vegetables you can grow, and it brings a mix of beauty and practicality to the garden. The broad, glossy leaves soak up cool weather, and the colorful stems make every bed look more alive even as temperatures dip. What makes chard especially valuable is how long it produces. Instead of giving one harvest and fading out, it keeps growing new leaves from the center, letting you pick it again and again for months. As long as it gets regular watering and a bit of protection from extreme cold, it will outlast most leafy greens. You can take a few leaves at a time without harming the plant, which makes it perfect for consistent kitchen use all season. Another strong point is how flexible it is in meals. Young leaves are tender enough for salads, and mature leaves behave like spinach when cooked, offering a mild, earthy flavor that works in stews, stir-fries, or simple sautés. Even the stems can be cooked, bringing a gentle sweetness and a pleasant texture. For gardeners working with limited space, chard's productivity is a blessing because a single plant can supply a surprising amount of food. It's one of those vegetables that quietly keeps your garden looking full while delivering steady, nutritious harvests long after other crops have slowed down. Veggie number 7, carrots. Carrots thrive in cool soil, and winter is when they develop their sweetest flavor. As temperatures settle into the colder range, the plants naturally convert their stored starches into sugars, acting like their own built-in antifreeze. This means that carrots grown through winter aren't just productive, they're noticeably sweeter than spring or summer plantings. With loose, well-draining soil, the roots grow long and straight, and because winter growth is slower and steadier, you get better texture and color. They also handle frost with no trouble, and in many regions you can leave them in the ground as a living refrigerator, harvesting them fresh whenever you need them. Carrots are also a great way to use up narrow spaces or leftover areas in raised beds. They don't need much room, just light soil and moisture that stays consistent. If you sprinkle the seeds thinly and keep the surface damp until they sprout, the plants settle in and basically take care of themselves. They'll push their way down into the soil while the tops stay low and compact, avoiding most winter pests. For gardeners who want reliable crops without fuss, carrots are a smart choice because once they're established, they're incredibly low maintenance and always rewarding to pull from the ground. Veggie number 8. Kale. Kale is one of the toughest winter vegetables you can grow, and it actually improves in flavor as the temperature drops. When frost hits, the leaves respond by producing natural sugars, which softens their texture and deepens their taste. Instead of struggling in the cold, kale stands taller and keeps growing steadily, even when other leafy greens slow to a crawl. It also comes in several varieties, from curly types to broad-leafed lacinato, giving your garden a mix of colors and textures that hold up through the coldest months. Because the plants grow from a central stem, you can harvest leaves continuously from the bottom upward, and the plant will keep pushing out new growth all winter. Kale is also incredibly forgiving. It doesn't need perfect soil or constant attention, just a bit of moisture and a place with decent light. Even in cramped beds or containers, it performs well and remains productive for a long stretch of the season. The leaves stay sturdy, making them perfect for sautés, soups, or simple raw dishes when picked young. For gardeners who want both toughness and nutrition, kale checks every box. It's dependable, long-lasting, and generous, turning even a chilly garden into a steady source of healthy greens. Veggie number 9. Lettuce. Lettuce might not be the first vegetable that comes to mind for December planting, but cold weather is actually ideal for it. Warm temperatures make lettuce bolt and turn bitter, but winter keeps it crisp, tender, and sweet. Planting in December gives you a wider variety of options, from loose leaf to romaine and butterhead, so you can enjoy different textures and flavors all winter long. Even light frosts improve the flavor, and with proper care, you can keep harvesting until the soil starts warming in spring. To grow lettuce successfully, barely cover the seeds so they still get light to germinate, and thin seedlings to the appropriate spacing. 8 to 10 inches for heads, 4 inches for loose leaf varieties. Lettuce does well in partial winter shade, which is perfect for gardens with lower sun angles, and it thrives in zones 7 through 10, with row covers protecting plants in colder zones. Succession planting every 2 weeks ensures a continuous harvest. You can start picking loose leaf varieties in about 30 to 40 days, while head lettuce takes a bit longer, around 55 to 65 days. Plant now, and you'll have fresh, winter-grown greens ready for your salads and sandwiches, while most gardeners are still waiting for spring. Veggie number 10. Broccoli. Broccoli is the heavyweight of the winter garden, and one of the most rewarding crops to plant in December. It needs several months of cool weather to form tight, flavorful heads, and planting now ensures that it develops properly without heat stress. Warm temperatures cause loose, bitter florets, but December planting sets you up for a spring harvest that's full, tender, and perfectly timed. Broccoli is a patient crop, but the payoff is huge. One healthy plant can feed a family and keep producing side shoots for weeks after the main head is harvested. For the best results, start with transplants, unless you're in zones 9 or 10, where direct sowing is possible. Space plants 18 to 24 inches apart, in full sun, to give them room to grow large heads. Broccoli is a heavy feeder, so rich soil and consistent watering are essential, especially through the colder months. Once the main head is cut, the side shoots will continue producing, extending your harvest well into spring. A December planting of broccoli not only gives you a reliable, high-yield crop, but also ensures your family enjoys fresh, homegrown vegetables at a time when store-bought options are limited. Here's the reality. December is a critical window for your winter garden. Every day you wait is a day later your harvest arrives, and these 10 vegetables want to be planted right now. Even if you're feeling overwhelmed, start small. Pick 3 fast-growing crops like arugula, radishes, and spinach. They're easy to grow, quick to harvest, and will give you confidence for bigger plantings later. The worst-case scenario is that you learn something new. The best-case scenario, you're harvesting fresh, winter-grown vegetables while everyone else is buying bland, overpriced produce from the store. If this video inspired you to get planting, hit that like button, subscribe to Purely Garden for daily seasonal planting guides, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Your future self and your kitchen will thank you for what you plant today. Now get out there and start planting. I'll see you in the garden.